Hello, hello. So we are starting here again episode Swiss Summit with Native, and here today I'm going to talk about K Finance.
Yep.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, Kai Finance.
Kai Finance. Yeah, let's go on. What's Kai Finance? Maybe you can introduce yourself, the company, and how does it work?
Sure. Krešimir Klas, also known as K Klas online. I'm a founder of Kuna Labs. We're the team behind Kai Finance. We've been building on Swi for a long time now, since even before the first DevNet was launched. So quite a while now.
When was that? Maybe you can
I have to count backwards. So today is 2025 and 2024.
So Swi mainnet was last year?
Swi mainnet was in 2023, I believe.
No.
2024?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it wasn't last year. I'm pretty sure it was 2023.
Oh yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it's almost
Yes.
2 years now.
Yes, because I was a base camp. Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. And I believe we started on Swi then in 2022, around September.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Many things were not stable, changed, yes? Since then.
Yeah, back then even like the things we take for granted, like the Swi framework, were constantly changing. And
Oh my
the
God.
DevNet was crashing, the tooling was
But
yeah.
deploying the contract was not as today.
No. Well, yeah, the contract was the same, but everything was changing. There was a lot of instabilities on DevNet.
Wasn't there was a story like with the Sui move command? Or it was something different?
I believe it was Swi client publish
Okay.
from the start.
Yes, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We built a few things. Kai Finance is our latest project, our main focus now. Before we built Kai Finance, we did some other things like the Swi Snap wallet, which is a plugin for MetaMask that enables MetaMask users to connect and do transactions on Swi. We released a bunch of open source smart contracts. What else?
On Sui?
Yeah, on Sui. And built some dev tooling like Sui Client Gen, which is a code gen tool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're OG in Sui?
Yeah, basically.
Oh my God, yeah, that's great. So you are coming from Facebook, and is it a Sui your first home? If I would call it like this way?
I worked at Facebook from when I graduated college. That was 2018 until 2020. So I was at Facebook for 2 years. And in 2017 I did an internship there. And then at around June 2020 I left Facebook and started getting more involved in crypto. I was following the crypto space for a really long time. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, if I remember correctly,
So
the price
before
was
college?
Yes, I was still in college.
Before, I guess, because if you finished the college in 2018, or at the beginning?
Yeah, the first year of college.
Okay.
Something like that. If I remember correctly, the price was $700 or something like that.
Back on that time, yes, I think it was jumping between 1,000, 200. There was this crash at some point about 200.
I remember I bought at 700 and then it went down to 200.
Yes.
And then it went back up then to 10K. And
10K? No, 10K was later on.
Yeah. I mean, in the next cycle it went to...
Yeah, 10K, I think. Okay, I don't
few
know
years
to be
later.
mistaken.
Yeah.
I think 10K was reached about 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm like holding since, not all. Didn't manage to keep them all. But yeah, I still have like some bitcoins in the wallet from that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was buying Bitcoin for about, I think the cheapest Bitcoin I bought was about 2000, if I'm not mistaken. Right? But yeah, I sold most of it for my previous startup when I was doing in 2000, I believe 17, 18. Okay, so a good story. Why Kai Finance? Where the idea came from? How was the story behind it?
Well, we started to wanted to build a yield aggregator because we saw that we expected that there would be a lot of yield farming on Sui.
Mm-hmm.
And the yield aggregator was like this simple app that we could launch with not a lot of work. I mean, the smart contracts are nothing novel. The UI is simple to build. So we said, okay, let's start with that and see what happens. So the first version was this yield aggregator where, like, suppose you want to deposit some liquidity in one of the vaults, and then it will find where the best APR is for that asset and direct or stake on that platform. So suppose Scallop has the highest APR, then it will switch automatically, rebalance the vault to stake with Scallop, so you always collect the highest APR and don't have to restake manually. But the problem with this was that there wasn't a lot of traction on this, and I believe part of the reason is that things are so easy to automate on Sui. So, and for this kind of platform, there just wasn't enough of a value add for users. They preferred either to stake themselves directly with the underlying platforms like Scallop and Navi, or they build their own automation script. So they didn't there wasn't really a need for this middleman, so to speak. So this didn't gain a lot of traction. Then we thought what we could do next, and we saw that there's a lot of opportunity on DEXs because there was a lot of volume, and
this is where the volume happens. Yes, volume is not on the money market. Volume is on the DEXs.
Yeah, it was kind of like half of the liquidity was on the lending platforms and half of the liquidity activity was on DEXs. But with the previous version, we could cover only the lending platforms because these old smart contracts couldn't handle volatile pools,
right,
impermanent loss, and things like that. So we decided to try to build a leverage yield farming platform where you could increase your position. So with a smaller amount of collateral, it would allow you to create a bigger LP position. And the idea would be that you increase your yield and have more capital efficiency for your liquidity. And then when I started doing research for this, so the biggest DEXs on Sui were at the time it was Cetus. Bluefin came a bit later, and so but Cetus is Uniswap v3. So I started looking into making it possible to create leverage position on a Uniswap v3 style DEXs, which
Cetus.
Yeah, Cetus. Which hasn't really been done before. I mean, there's another way to do it. Another way for people to create leveraged position on those DEXs, but it involves like creating a LP position directly, then taking those LP tokens and putting them down as a collateral, and then doing this looping thing.
Right.
But I
that's for farming, basically.
Yeah, but I didn't really like this. I started looking whether there'd be a way to model it so that you can do this directly, and I found a really nice model to be able to do that. verified it's secure, I almost immediately, like the first initial scoping, I saw that it would be possible to create positions with 10x leverage on stable pairs safely. So this was really encouraging, because like if you can create a 10x leverage position on a stable pair, this means like suppose you're staking on USDC on Cetus and you get say 30% APR. With 10x leverage you'd be getting 300%. So this was kind of I saw a big opportunity there and decided to commit it into that, finish the models, implemented the smart contracts, and then we built the UI and we launched in early or mid-October last year.
How long it took you from, let's say, that proof of concept to the mainnet?
So I believe I started looking at it in February or early March. Then I started modeling it. I believe it took me like two or 2.5, 3 months just for the models, and then 2 months for the smart contract implementation, and then a month or two for the front end and back end implementation.
Cool. So what's your experience with Sui Move?
Oh, I love Move. Move is actually the thing that got me onto
Really?
Sui. Yeah.
I mean, you're from Facebook, so kind of.
Yeah, that was a
you.
part of it.
Okay.
So the story is, we were building something on Solana. Actually, we started on Solana.
In Rust.
How
familiar? What's your level of experience in Rust?
In Rust, actually, I learned Rust to build smart contracts
in Solana. Okay. And then you moved to Move.
Yes, I was interested in Solana. What pulled me into Solana was I saw that they were using Rust to develop smart contracts. So I was kind of interested in Rust. It's an interesting language on its own.
Right.
But I was also interested in smart contracts. Before that I knew I guess I read a bit of Solidity.
Right.
But Solidity like never felt really compelling. Like something always felt off about this language. So I never could really get into it.
I mean, Solidity is simple because it's very similar to JavaScript. Yeah, so like expressing something in Solidity is not that hard. However, yes, the tooling, the limitations there, there are many things that you don't have that directly by the language. Yes, if you want to do some, string manipulation, you run out that, the library is not there, right? Like you're missing this primitive functionality that in the Rust you have directly on, but in Solidity it's missing.
I guess what put me off of Solidity was that you kind of, with Solidity and EVM, you kind of need to understand the implementation details a bit better.
True, it exposes you not maybe like the low level EVM bytecode, but the reasoning in a way how you design the contract, and also from the security perspective you need to think about it. So it exposes you directly the way how this EVM works.
Yeah, so you kind of really need to be an expert in it to do anything safely, especially in DeFi.
That makes sense. And actually, Rust is a little bit better, but still, in SVM you also need to think about it, how SVM works. In Move, actually, is different, right?
With SVM, SVM has it's better than Solidity in my opinion. And actually, when we talk about Rust, it's never, on Solana, it's not like you're using Rust, it's like you're using this framework for building smart contracts in Rust. It's not...
It's but it's the same language, it's Rust languages, you don't need to, it's the same compiler, right? You use Cargo, use all the tooling for Rust, so you don't need to have something different.
Yes, and it benefits a lot from the borrow checker and the strong type safety.
Yeah, editor, anything, all the tooling works.
Yeah.
So I have an experience. I did a lot of things in Ethereum. I was doing a lot of things in Cosmos. Cosmos was near. I didn't do much stuff in Solana. So, but from the Rust perspective, yes, for me the Cosmos model is really. I was really appreciating. I mean, I had my reservation to move, to be honest, because a new language, new tooling. Why Rust is already very expressive.
So on Cosmos there is also Rust.
So it's a customosm, right? It's a way. You need to understand that, okay, you have SVM, you have near VM, yes, you have near VM, near, it's not a near VM, it wasn't the, right, behind. And then in customosm, it's basically how you use that framework. Yes. So customosm, the way how the interactions happen is through actor model. Yeah, so you have a contract really like an actors, and you interact with them in an asynchronous way, but it happens in the same block. In contrast, in near, you have also asynchronous communication, but it's delayed. Yeah, so it's you create like a defer, so you always have to have that callbacks, which makes it harder to reason about. Cosmosm solves that, and also doesn't have the limitation as the Rust have that you need to also think about all the interactions.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, Cosmosm is I really like the model, but okay.
Which language do you use there?
In Cosmosm?
Yeah.
Rust.
Rust, and you compile to WASM.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So the execution is very similar actually. I mean the in both cases it wasn't the in near and in Cosmosm, and Cosmosm is really fast. We were doing benchmarks, and it was really killing the SVM and the on operations, right? Just not the smart contract execution overall, because if you compare the smart contract platform, you need to compare every layer. So how quickly the transaction is picked up, storage access, and all that stuff. But if you only compare the execution, right? So the operation, let's say algorithm. Yeah, so simple algorithm. Cosmosm is much better. It has like less layers of abstraction. Then it makes it order of magnitude faster than, for example, near.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's very, very good. Okay, so move.
Yeah, move is what got me onto Sui actually. So I was building on Solana, still involved there. But then I saw a few prominent members or prominent developers in the Sui community really talking up Move, saying this is a great smart contract programming language. It's it's a what do you say? Never mind.
Designed for smart contracts, right?
Yeah, designed specifically for smart contracts. Then Anatoly was also at the time tweeting a lot about compiling Move to LLVM.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was kind of curious. About LLVM compilers.
Do you think that Solana is considering adopting Move as well?
They were actually working on building a LLVM compiler for Move.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, there is an effort. I'm not sure what's the current status. Maybe they put it on the back burner now or something. But yeah, they were working on it. So because of all of this, I started looking into Move, and I knew that there were basically two chains that were using Move, and these were Aptos and Sui. But I also knew that Sam Blackshear, who's the creator of Move, was on Sui. So I thought, if I'm really gonna dig into this language, I might as well join the Sui Discord, and maybe Sam is there and I can chat directly with him. And that's exactly how it was. I joined the Sui Discord. At the time, there was maybe a few dozen people on there.
Okay.
It's very small, quiet Discord. And I went on some channel and asked, hey, I'm looking into Move. I'm wondering about the implementation details of the VM instruction set and so on. And then somebody replied, oh, here is the docs. but these were like the user documentation for using Move, and then I said no, I want
engineering, developer.
Yeah, I want to look into the internals of the language, how it's implemented. And then Sam came on and said, "Oh, hey, here's some links. Here's this white paper.
Here's the code."
Yeah, and that's how it started. I started looking into Move, chatted with Sam. He answered all my questions, and then from Move I started looking into consensus, and I saw that really like this chain is something really special because they managed to find a way to separate transaction data dissemination from consensus itself, and that was really really compelling, and they were really.
I mean, every chain is doing it. Transaction dissemination, yes.
Yeah, but
I mean, then you have a block propagation, and then the consensus.
Of course, I'm not expert on consensus, and I'm a bit fuzzy on this since it's been a long time ago. But if I remember correctly, the trick was to separate the validators communicating the transaction data, and they have some sort of validation on the data, and then the consensus itself runs. It doesn't need any more communication with the validators, between the validators itself. So yeah, first the data is communicated, it's certified, and then consensus runs, and doesn't need really any more communication or confirmation between the validators to confirm the transaction. And there was also a lot of emphasis on scalability, on sharding the consensus to run on multiple machines, but within the same validator. So I saw like this was really interesting tech. It was like a state-of-the-art consensus, and then with talking to Sam, it was not only that he was answering all these questions I had, but in the way he was answering,
he was always thinking, trying to be
proactive. Yeah, he was always one step ahead. And I often do this, like when I'm interested in some project, I start asking questions, and sometimes I don't even know the answer to these questions, but I want to see how they think. And like most of the times, the team won't even respond to you, or when they do respond to you, you manage to find some flaw or some loophole where they're not really sure how they're gonna handle it. But with Sui, it was always like
very direct, proactive.
Yeah, and they really knew what they were talking about, and the way Sam was answering these questions, not only he gave me a direct answer, he was always one step ahead of me, but also answered in such a way that he changed my whole perspective on the thing.
I think. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spent some time with Sam, so greetings to Sam if you listen to this. It was amazing. I mean, the way that he really he wants to understand, he wants to help you. Really amazing founder.
Yeah.
Right. Especially now that Sui is not at the very beginning where they need to fight for the developers. They already have them.
Yeah.
And the team is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So from then I knew like this was something special, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go into this all in. Yeah, all in.
Okay. So when was that?
Around August 2023.
Okay, and since then you are all in Sui, Move.
Yeah.
How was that experience? So it's already 1.5 years.
Yeah, great. I love it. I was just talking to some folks from Eastern Labs, and I was saying actually that over time, as I'm building on Sui, I'm less and less worried about the inner workings or implementation details on Sui, because I know they're like well done. So I don't really know or care like how the consensus work, how this or that work, how the clock works, because I know it's gonna work the way I expect it to work. And if there's any edge cases or limitations, they'd be like documented. So I think this is a really great boon, and one of the things that's underappreciated by everyone, because I believe, like when I look at what other developers on other chains have to do and how they prioritize, it seems like half of their roadmap is almost like working around the limitations or edge cases of the chain, and like having to know the implementation details of something so that it doesn't shoot you in the foot later. But on Sui, we don't need to worry about that, and we can only have to worry about the thing that we are building, and this is a great boon, I think.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. What's the thing that you are really missing in Move or Sui?
In Move?
What's like if you have this magic wand and like something that would make your life easier as a developer, as an engineer, yes, to make your work better. What's the next thing?
I would love to have enums where you can add the invariants in a smart contract app.
Absolutely, I was telling exactly the same thing to Sam, and I was chatting with him last Friday, the last day.
Yeah. What did he say?
I
know they were looking at it.
They are going back and forth
right.
to that. The problem I think they have is still, they try to make the language minimalistic, right? So to not get into some other troubles that that can enter. And I think though their model is in a way how the compiler works, if I remember correctly. So you cannot extend the enum, and if you have the variant with a dynamic type, then or recursion, then so
right,
you cannot do recursion.
Right. So it becomes very complicated.
Yeah, there is some limitation.
Yeah.
Yes. They claim that with many of the use cases you can solve with PB transactions. So let's see. We were also discussing one thing I'm missing personally is interfaces.
Right.
Especially for coin, that's like my main use case. I would like to customize the coin, so have the interface, but maybe attach some data. So that would be the voting rights,
right,
related to the coin, so there is ongoing discussion. I'm not sure what would be the best design. This is something the standards require a time, require thinking. So we need to have ideally few use cases to make sure that whatever you design is not like dedicated for one use case, but will solve what the community needs, what the builders need.
Yeah, exactly. And you also don't want to overfit.
Exactly, and run into troubles.
Yeah.
Because then it's legacy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that made you troubles?
In Move
or Sui? And I would fix, for example, or maybe still a trouble.
Well, I do like the new receiver syntax. I was kind of skeptical a bit at first because it's almost like a syntax sugar, but it does really make the code more readable. So I appreciate that, and also macros. Macros actually, I don't know if you had a chance to use them yet, but they do allow you to have a sort of interface-like functionality where you can create sort of like this generic.
But exactly, it's not the same. Generics and macros and interface are totally different things.
Macro
just help you to I would say work around for maybe generics. But a simple one, so that in the code you don't need to repeat yourself.
Yeah, but it did make my life easier when I was actually working on this leverage smart contracts, because I could abstract away the core functionality from the functionality required to integrate the various DEX. So currently we support Bluefin and Cetus, and to add a new DEX, actually I have to just create a new model and add a 7 or 8 wrapper function that just wrap the...
So to make it for the listeners clear, the way how you guys work is so you provide a direct integration between the lending pools and the dexes, so then the user or a trader actually can take a leverage position and use the leverage position for trading. And that's something very unique because by principle only the derivatives or perpetuals allows it, and you allow it for OTC trading. That sounds super cool, but that's also dangerous, right? I don't think this is a product for normies. This is more for traders.
Yeah, it's a little bit degen. For stable pairs, not so much,
right?
Because the only way you would get liquidated there is like if there's a huge deep peg in stable coins, like 10% price shift, say USDC goes to $0.92 or something like that.
Right.
For volatile pairs, it's more tricky, like SWI USDC. There you really need to know what you're doing. But yeah, so
let's talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Bitcoin in general?
Bitcoin
finance.
I love Bitcoin. I mean,
you are buying Bitcoin for how much? 700?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good price.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is the thing that started all of it.
So 700. That's over 120x you would make, right? If you keep it.
I mean, I wish I kept them all, but.
Well, we have also our own spendings, right? Investments. How it works. You cannot save everything. We need to live, enjoy the life, and spend the money. So, so what do you think about the opportunity of programming native Bitcoin on SWI?
Yeah, I mean, that's
in a non-custodial way.
That's
a permissionless way.
Yeah, of course, for anyone who holds any Bitcoin assets, sure, you can just have them in the wallet,
right?
But I mean, why not do something with them, make them like more capital efficient?
Exactly.
So I think with what your guys building, it's a really great thing. Really great, like opens a lot of opportunities because you're actually bringing that Bitcoin onto a smart contract platform where it suddenly becomes programmable, and it's not like it's abridged.
Right.
You actually keep the custody of it, so the trust is minimized. It's almost basically you don't introduce almost any intermediaries.
And it's fully decentralized.
Yeah, except I guess for ICA itself.
But ICA is also decentralized.
Yeah, I guess you have to trust the implementation of the cryptography behind the.
Oh yeah, but that's with everything. Like if you use a wallet, then you trust that
exactly. Yeah, that's very minimal.
If you use the browser, to do something, that you need to trust that the transaction. I mean, even with the Bybit hack, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How many people are reading the? I mean, in Ethereum, this is one of the problems in Ethereum in EVM, that transactions are not readable.
Yeah.
Right, so you don't really understand clearly what you are signing. Someone will have to decode it. But that's like a principle that you trust the thing that you use anyway.
Yeah.
Right, but here we are just removing completely.
Yeah.
All the intermediaries. Okay, you can say ICA is intermediary, but it's a part of SWI. Yes, here the SWI validators are part of ICA. So we think that's, and it's also dynamic. For example, internet computer, it's using similar model but totally with different algorithm. The algorithm doesn't scale that much, doesn't allow for non-collusive operations. ICA provides, the protocol that we built on top of ICA, we can use this 2PC and PC, which means that a user has also approved transaction. Yes, in internet computer, the user doesn't interact in that way.
Yeah, so even if the validator network gets like compromised or something goes wrong, you still have your own private.
Yeah, that's right. But that's for the zero trust protocols. For the pooling version, the synthetic Bitcoin that we will be creating. The user actually is giving up his rights to Bitcoin to a pool. Yes, but this is a compromise, yes, between the new model, the deep wallet model that is non-fungible, yes, because you have an authority, so you cannot mix the authority between two people, right? It doesn't work. But the pool model, yes, then you need to give up your authority to the smart contract.
So I have a question. Will the pool model Bitcoin be fungible with the custodial one?
No, I mean, because those are two different assets and different security model. You cannot mix it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I guess
there's a different operation between it.
Right.
Behind it, yes. So in the same way how you don't mix, USDT and USDC. They're not fungible between themselves.
Or wrapped like one USDC bridge from Solana and USDC bridge from Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
Although it's the same asset and the same bridge, they're not fungible.
Exactly.
Right.
So that here is the same principle.
Yeah.
Although yes, like in the pooled model, once Bitcoin will have covenants, we can have a full trustless model.
Right.
So you actually, because we then will be able to in ZK prove the whole smart contract. Right. So not only Solana, but Bitcoin will also check. So not only Sui, Bitcoin will also will be check and balances on both sides.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing because suddenly Bitcoin natively exists on Sui.
I mean, native Bitcoin on Sui will exist very soon.
Yeah,
that's what we are doing, and those two models will be there. So that's great, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
What do you think? What would be your dream application for Bitcoin? So let's say you have $1 million. You create a new startup.
Right.
Right. What do you do?
I think like the dream is like you have some sort of a vault you can stake in, and you generate like 100% APR or something. I mean something magical. Like I personally don't want to work. I'm not as degen, I guess. I like passive yields, so something around that. But then there's a question of like how do you make it generate yield?
Right.
So that opens a whole new area of.
I mean, the yield is generated. So there are two ways how we generate the yield. Either there is a farming opportunity that someone basically pays you to use the liquidity. Additionally, right? And the second one is someone needs liquidity, borrowing or take speculation, take possession, leverage. And pays the fee for that.
Yeah, there's many possibilities there. Options, future, like using it as a collateral.
Option is basically speculation.
Yeah.
So that's a hedging mechanism.
Yeah.
Cool. So good to have your excitement about Bitcoin. We are going to partner, and yes, there is a growing interest. I'm personally super excited about providing Bitcoin to Sui, not only because Sui is cool tech, but mainly because of the builders like you that are really creating exciting stuff. DeFi stack, every day I'm learning something new, and Sui is a big thing. It's not a joke. It's legit builders, lot of liquidity already, and now if you combine those builders, the liquidity that already exists in Sui with Bitcoin.
With Bitcoin and
then we go to the next level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Anything maybe to wrap up?
I'm really looking forward to. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin. I mean, who isn't? I'm really looking forward to seeing all the ways we can utilize this asset on Sui and
Okay. How people can contact you if someone wants to explore more about leverage opportunities with DEXs?
I guess a good way would be to come to our Kai Finance Discord. You can find the links on our Twitter account.
Okay, you will share it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. It was my pleasure to talk with you, and enjoy the rest of the week here.
Thanks for having me.